Summary of the Short Happy Life of Francis Macomber by Ernest Hemingway. Francis Macomber, his wife Margot Macomber, and their paid white hunter, a British man named Robert Wilson, have gotten together in a safari camp somewhere in Africa to celebrate the hunt they just got back from. Even though it looks like Macomber killed the lion at first, it becomes clear that he bolted like a rabbit when the time to shoot came, being too scared to face the animal head-on. All three characters are embarrassed and fight while they drink. Eventually, Margot walks off, looking upset and embarrassed. Later, when Margot comes back to the men, they talk about a second hunt, this time for buffalo, and Macomber's chance to make things right. In a flashback to the night before the original hunt, Macomber hears the lion's roar and finds it terrifying. The next day, when he faces the lion on the hunt, he hits it twice but fails to kill it. When Macomber, Wilson, and the Africans who were helping them go to find the hurt animal to finish the job, Macomber freaks out and runs off wildly, leaving Wilson to kill the lion by himself. That night, Margot goes to Wilson's tent to sleep with him because she is impressed by his skills and saddened by her husband's lack of courage. After several hours, she goes back to her own tent with Macomber, who has been awake for a while and doesn't bother to say no to their kiss. The next morning, Wilson, Macomber, and Margot fight again about the hunt. The events of the previous day made their anger worse. Wilson talks to himself and says that he sleeps with clients' wives as a service and that he sees his affairs as windfalls. The hunt for buffalo still goes on. When Macomber suddenly feels brave and wholly without fear, he kills two of them. Like the first hunt, this one only hurts one of the cows. But this time, Macomber goes after it with all his might. Wilson tells his client that he has changed, more of a change than any loss of virginity. He used to be an American boy man, but all of a sudden he is a real man. Margot is scared by Macomber's change and his new friendship with Wilson. Wilson is pleased by his client, which is only natural. Macomber, Wilson, and the local guides walk up to the hurt bull and start shooting at it. They still can't kill it, and Macomber doesn't move as the angry animal charges at him until he feels a terrible pain in his head. She was watching the hunt from the car and shot at the buffalo with a gun. But she hit her husband instead. He and the bull are both dead on the ground. Wilson looks at Macomber without saying anything and calls the buffalo a hell of a good bull. Then he makes fun of Margot, who is clearly upset and thinks she killed her husband on purpose. He tells her that he will help her hide the crime while asking her why she didn't poison him instead. Margot, who is sad, begs him to please stop it. Wilson, who is mean and scary, agrees, please is much better. Now I'll stop.
About the author. Ernest Hemingway grew up in a neighborhood in Chicago. His first job after high school was working for the Kansas City Star, but he quit after only 6 months to join the Red Cross Ambulance Corps during World War I. He was hurt while serving and was given the Silver Medal of Military Valor. He then moved to Ontario and Chicago, where he met Hadley Richardson, the woman who would become his first wife. They moved to Paris in 1921, where he worked on his writing and became friends with F. Scott Fitzgerald and other American writers from the lost generation who had lived abroad for a long time. After his first book, The Sun Also Rises, came out in 1926, he left Hadley and married Pauline Pfeiffer, who was born in Arkansas. Hemingway wrote A Farewell to Arms, 1929, which was a big hit, while the couple lived in Florida. Hemingway finally moved to Spain to work as a war reporter during the Spanish Civil War. It was this job that gave him the ideas for his famous book For Whom the Bell Tolls, which came out in 1939. After it came out, he met Martha Gellhorn, who would become his third wife. Hemingway married Mary Hemingway, his fourth and last wife, in 1946. They lived in Cuba together for 14 years. Hemingway won the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1953 for The Old Man and the Sea. He also won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1954. Hemingway killed himself in 1961.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.